So you know the deal. We're just two friends hanging out, drinking some beer, and talking about people, places, and things from a galaxy far, far away. Simply put, we're Brandon and Michael, and we wanted to let you know about our first experiences with the Star Wars universe. I was really lucky to be blessed with a nerdy family who has graced me from a young age with fantasy worlds and galaxies far, far away. I actually had to check in with my parents to see when they first deemed it appropriate to show me A New Hope, and I was about 7 at the time. My first memory of the Star Wars universe, though, is a cover on the VCR box tape. That iconic picture of Luke holding the lightsaber above his head and Leia leaning in from the side holding her blaster. It just really sticks with me. I don't think I truly fell in love with the Star Wars universe, though, until I got my first Star Wars Lego set. I remember it was around my 8th birthday when The Phantom Menace came out, and I remember wanting nothing more than those new, awesome Lego sets. I think my first set was one of those clone tanks. Unfortunately, this set has gotten lost over the years, but I've steadily grown my collection since then, and now have around 50 ships and over 200 minifigures just from the Star Wars universe, which I'm sure you have seen in some of our other episodes. As for the movies, I really enjoyed episodes 1, 2, and 3 at the time. For a preteen boy, it was the perfect series of movies. I remember going wild when Maul lit up that second side of his lightsaber for the first time, and being crushed when Padme died. I would say we watched the movies almost yearly, and we'd have lively debates about the plot holes and theories of our own. I then lost interest in the Star Wars universe for a while in high school, as my interest went to other things. But it was all renewed for me when I discovered the Clone Wars series when I returned to the States for college. If you've never stepped outside the Star Wars movie universe, I would implore you to watch the Clone Wars and Rebels animated TV series. They provide so much context to the arcs of Anakin, Obi-Wan, Maul, and many more characters that you really only get to see briefly in the movies. And yeah, the rest is really history. I just turned 30 this year, and my present to myself was a Clone Trooper helmet, so I would say that this obsession hasn't waned very much.
And as for me, I first saw Star Wars on this tiny TV screen when I was 4 or 5 years old. And similarly, I fell in love immediately. We had recently moved to Kaduna in northern Nigeria, and some friends invited us over to watch a bootleg copy of the science fiction film that I'd heard about, but I had no idea what it was. The picture was tiny, and it wasn't great quality. To give you an idea, the first time I saw it, I thought the Star Destroyer was Princess Leia's ship. It was only later that I realized her ship was a blockade runner that got taken down, and then they brought her ship into the Star Destroyer. Now, my sister and brother were much older than me, and they got to see Star Wars on the big screen at the National Theater in Lagos when it first came out. And I will be forever jealous of that fact, and I do not know if I will ever forgive them for that. But in fact, the only trilogy film that I first saw on the big screen was The Empire Strikes Back, and that was just dumb luck. We happened to be back in the States visiting friends in Oswego, New York, and The Empire Strikes Back was still in theaters. Thanks to my parents, took us to see it. But as for Return of the Jedi, once again, my brother and sister got to see it on the big screen months before I did, whereas I first saw it in Sofia, Bulgaria on a badly shot bootleg copy that someone had made by taking a handheld camera into a Greek cinema that was showing it. It's like all of Jabba's subtitles were in Greek, which did me no good. It wasn't until the movies were re-released in 1997 that I saw either New Hope or Return of the Jedi on the big screen. But the wait was almost worth it. But back to the 1980s. I was totally hooked on all things Star Wars. The original action figures, the playsets, even the Marvel comic series, which wound up being my gateway into the world of comic books. We traveled a lot in those days. There were long international layovers, so to keep me occupied, my parents bought me every Star Wars action figure they could find. Seriously. I mean, at some point in the early 80s, I had every figure they made and just carried them around in this just giant backpack whenever we traveled. But in those days, Star Wars stories and ancillary media were few and far between, so I devoured everything I could find. And that's why sometimes I say I'm on my third version of the expanded universe. There's the original one that sort of haphazard. Then there was the second one, which got kicked off in 1991 with Timothy Zahn's Thrawn trilogy and Dark Horse Comics' Dark Empire series. And now, for me, we're on the third EU, which started when Disney purchased Star Wars. So I do get a kick out of seeing how things have changed and what aspects, themes, and characters keep getting reintroduced. But right now, of course, this just feels like the golden age of Star Wars fandom. You got the animated series, the live-action series, the books, the comics, the t-shirts. You have everything. It is so much more than little 4-year-old me could ever have imagined. And I am just really happy to be able to share this with all of you. And it just is an amazing thing. And so, having said that, Please, if you enjoyed this video, click like and subscribe. If you did not like the video, click dislike, but obviously it was sort of just rage watching on your case. But more importantly, we would love to hear from you about your first Star Wars experience. Go into the comments below. Please tell us, what was your first experience? Why did you fall in love with Star Wars? How did you fall in love with Star Wars? We would love to have that conversation with you. But in the meantime, I'm Michael.
I'm Brendan.
And never tell us the odds.